What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Welcome in. This is episode number 392. We're almost a sweet 400, Joe.
Oh, didn't we do something for 300? We had a bunch of our fellow Scafuzas on.
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's like almost right after you join the show, because you figure there's 52 weeks in a year. To get to 100 shows is roughly 2 years.
Yeah, but I'm 3+ years into it now, bro.
I don't think so.
Oh.
I think 3 years will be in November, won't it?
No, I think that's gonna be 4 or maybe 3. I don't know. Who knows? It's all a blur. But as you will notice, I will stand up. I am wearing
St. Joseph of Scafuz.
patron saint of Scafuzas with my cross out, which I will have to put back in because Rob will complain that it hits the microphone. But yeah, I love this shirt. I know the Double B ordered it, and it's funny. It's funny. And just a quick side note, Erica was like, "This doesn't look good. It doesn't look good." I was like, "I don't know. I look kind of saintly, you know." Like
I
look
think
like
it's
a
good likeness.
I think so too.
Trust me, I could have made it a lot worse.
You could have. The hair isn't too gray. No,
Your nose isn't huge. Your ears aren't sticking out like open car door. It could be a lot worse.
It could be. Yes.
You're not missing teeth. You don't have black eyes. You're not bleeding all over the place.
Yes, I am not missing teeth anymore. I got my implant this week, as the members know. Or a tooth. Fucking $5,000 later. Oh my god. But before we welcome people in, I have some good news.
Joseph Borelli National Archives and Records Administration Certificate of Completion. The certificate is granted to Joseph P. Borelli in recognition of completing their researcher orientation course. Wow. Please bring the certificate with you to get in the fucking door at the archives, or else you're not welcome here.
Yeah, and you have to go on Eventbrite.
And get a ticket?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bro, they make it so hard, and of course this is by design. I mean, let's not be naive here.
It keeps the Scafuzas away.
Yeah, well, not in this case.
Yeah.
But I have fellow Scafuza.
We had one that learned how to get around the system, apparently.
Yeah, well, Andrew Eiler helped me, walked me through it with
You had help.
Yes, and it will be fun. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. I've never been to the archives before. And yeah, it should be an interesting experience. had to buy $120 scanner because when you get the boxes, like I don't think Malcolm Blunt had it. I think you have to photocopy it and like ship all the.
Yeah, you got a pocket full of dimes.
Yeah, but you're just gonna scan it, not read the documents, and then read them later. So I think we'll have some cool follow-up shows if I can find anything interesting. And
well, hopefully you do.
Hopefully we do. There even is some ARB stuff on the Martins. So that I'll be looking for. So who knows? Treasure hunt.
All right, Joe. Welcome in the Scafuzery.
All right. Well, guess who got the gold?
Hey,
not the bronze for once.
Tony boy.
Trey.
Nice Outsiders reference that Joe completely went right over his head. That's BJ before Joe.
As does everything, yes. And Paul is giving me a hard time because things go over my head. But we love you, Paula. South to West, what up? You got the silver. And James Smith got the bronze this week. The race is on. And it looks like heartache, and I win the bronze. Hey.
Yep, like Trey said, that's a good George Jones reference. Also, BJ. Hand over his head.
Yeah, can you explain that one?
It's an old George Jones song. The race is on.
Oh,
Is on.
yeah. Oh my God, I'm so bad. Um,
It's a good drinking song if you're ever feeling lonely.
yeah. All right. All
Just get on YouTube, look up George Jones, and start drinking.
right. Yeah, I could do that. Tiny Dancer, what's up? How are you?
Tiny.
I thought this week would never end. Thank God it's Friday. Yes.
Amen, sister.
Tube74, who is probably enjoying the nice sun in Australia this sunny morning. I think it is there. South to west. Thumbnail shows Joe pointing at Buell saying, I don't believe he's telling the whole truth. We'll get there.
I was telling Joe before the show, I was like, man, I love doing these AI covers now. I mean, look at this again, real quick, folks. How fucking cool is that?
Yeah.
I love it.
It captures Buell's likeness pretty well, I have to say.
Yeah.
And you are not that happy either. You were pissed.
Well, I told AI to have both the hosts look at the guy in the middle very accusatorily.
Okay.
And that's what we got. Now the picture up here in the corner with JFK and Kennedy. This is Buell now, not looking so hot, Buell.
Yeah.
But of course he is old.
Yeah. Paula is here. I was just messaging with her.
Paula.
She's gonna send me a whole list of things to.
I know you hate us. We love you.
Mike the Library Man, what up? Triple B looking for a new gig. Evening, folks. Are you looking for a new gig?
Am I?
I don't know. I feel like you're gonna retire soon.
I wish. Jesus. I wish. If you ever don't see me again, Triple B won the lottery. Other than that, I got bills to pay. So I'll be.
There's something called the lottery curse. Are you familiar with this? Like everyone that wins the lottery.
See, I'm old enough to. If I won the lottery now, I would be smart enough to know what to do. Like if I won the lottery at 25, I'd have been fucked.
Right.
I'd probably be dead already. But now I would know what to do. I would focus on staying young forever.
And do you know who won the lottery once, if not twice? Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, I'm sure that wasn't all luck.
Well, right. The lottery's a scam for sure. Double V, what up? I hope you have had a blessed week, and you too, sir. He always likes to.
We haven't, but we're here now.
Yeah.
Well, now we're blessed.
I'm blessed. Let's see who else. Mike, Derek Ward, the D-Dubs. Happy Friday, everyone. We'll watch the replay later. It's all good.
Fine then, Derek. Shit.
You're not making us your first priority.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, we'll be here later.
Yes, replay crew is just as respected.
This might be a 4-hour show. We'll see.
Yeah. I think I said hi to James Smith already. Paul Anichi here with my Chinese food. Okay. Didn't you say you had Chinese the other night?
I did.
Last night? It's all a blur.
Black pepper chicken. Yes, last night. I
did a book review.
Delicious.
Allegedly.
It was delicious.
Oh, nice. I'm happy. I had my usual slice of pizza before the show with my crushed red pepper. Paul Anichi. I already said hi to Timmy Ryan. What's good?
City hot sauce, Joe.
Yes. I did put some on there. And we love the Silk City. I have a lot of Silk City left, and we allegedly, I haven't talked to Jeff in a while. I haven't seen him in here, but he is hopefully growing the peppers from Italy and going to make it into our own hot sauce.
Hemp infused hot sauce.
Hey, sounds good to me. Scott Edwards, what up, what up? I think we're just going to name him Fancy Drink Scott.
And by the way, Timothy Ryan has been sharing our shit all over Facebook. So thank you, Timothy.
Oh, thank you, man. We appreciate that. Let's see. Oh my God, I can't. You have to do this.
You licky deluga.
Good evening, sir.
Or man.
Or ma'am.
I think we established it's a man, but
Yeah, I think so. And,
just
and Derek Schwindman.
Schwindeman.
Schwindeman. There's
Derek
no R though.
Huh?
There's no R.
I'm not saying Schwinderman. Schwindeman.
Ah, I see.
It's the German pronunciation, Joe.
I see. See, you need to help me with my pronunciation. And
Schwindeman.
get the David Ferry
Oh, God.
Be listening and lurking, hitting the gym. The double knee needs to look good for swimming season.
Gotta get them abs. Gotta find them abs under all that jelly roll. I hear you.
Yeah,
They're lurking under there somewhere.
But the double B, because I text with him often, usually hits the gym at like 5 or 6 a.m.
It'll stop once it gets a little older. He's still young.
Yeah, but hopefully you have headphones or AirPods. Zendar.
Hey, Zendar.
What up, bud?
Banging away on them drums, baby.
Claude
and
Aunt Udine are sipping some Lone Stars on the bench and feeling fine.
Or the beach. The beach is better than the bench.
Oh, the beach. Yes. There you go. Let's see. Yeah. I think that is it for right now. Timothy Ryan, I already said what up to. So yeah, let's get into what we'll be talking about tonight. Robert.
Okay. Still a man. Okay. Then we cleared that up.
We won't misgender you.
The avatar that throws us off. It looks like Whoopi Goldberg had sex with Freddy Krueger and gave birth to some kind of nightmare. But it's okay. It's okay. We love you. You lucky to lose. All right, so.
All right. Hold on. We got one more.
All right, don't fuck this up, Joe.
I'm going to. Robert Fulliard.
Hold on.
Oh,
wrong one.
Oh.
Holy shit. When the money's on the line, Joe delivers. Allegedly.
How's it going, Robert?
Mr. Fulliard. All right, so tonight, it's been a while. It's been a long while. We're talking pre-YouTubes. A very long time since a spotlight has been shown on what I consider to be a mostly beloved figure in this whole story. Oh, thank you, Mr. Fulliard.
Oh, wow, we got two. Oh, wow. We got the Double B gifting 10 memberships. And then we got $9 or $10 super chat from Mr. Robert. So thank you. I can't. Yeah, when the money's on the line, right? But thank you. We appreciate it, guys.
Yes, and all the new members. Hey, listen up, folks. If you've been granted a membership from these fine gentlemen, we do a free members-only show for Spooks the last Wednesday of the month. And since this here month has 2 last Wednesdays in it, you can check out the members-only show we just did Wednesday night, and you can check out the members-only show next Wednesday night, and you can check out all of the previous Spooks opened up members-only shows that we've ever done. So there's a lot of shows out there to catch up on. There's a lot of content out there. If you're digging what you're seeing, make sure to check them out. And
There's a lot of shows out.
feel free to re-up your membership once it goes away if you like us. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks guys for that. Appreciate it.
We have a lot of fun over there, and we play things we can't play here because of copyright strikes, and we are maybe a little more unhinged.
Yeah, we may curse a little bit. We may show brief nudity.
A little bit more.
Yeah, you might see a nipple every once in a while. You never know.
You never know.
But back to Buell Frazier. So, like I said, there's a lot of misconceptions about Buell Frazier. And if you've only seen Buell Frazier from like the 2000s up to now, you may think, he's just a kindly, soft-spoken old guy who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Okay, which he likely was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm not disputing that. But, as most of you know, the living witnesses to this case are dying off. There's only really provably two left, Marina and Buell.
Right.
Unless I'm missing somebody, Joe.
Did Ruth die? Ruth died, right? Yeah, she just died. So, yeah, I mean, I think Bernier might still be alive, but you're right. For the most part, they're all gone.
I don't trust anything he says. But
right.
Yes.
Neither do I. But
a lot of these folks are dropping by the wayside. Really, the only two left that we could ever possibly get any kind of truth from, who are actually in the position that we can prove are in the position to know, are Buell Frazier and Marina.
Well, Bernier is still alive. I just checked. And
well, again, I don't trust Bernier, and he's not really in the position to know anything about the assassination. He might be able to shed some light on really what they were doing in New Orleans, but when it comes to the assassination, Frazier, Marina, only two left. Right. And you might say this picture up here in the corner of Buell Frazier is an exaggeration. It's not much of one. He is not looking good these days. And I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm not trying to be an asshole, but people get old, people die, and sometimes it comes quicker than you think, right? So Frazier was 19 years old in 1963.
19. He was a kid.
And a young kid. Now, he stuck to his story for a very long time. He stayed to himself for a very long time. He would pop out maybe once every 5 years to do a puff piece on a news channel, a local news channel or something, where he told his little story, and then they moved on, and
on an anniversary or something.
Yeah, a little feel good piece, whatever, right? And it wasn't until the 2000s, and he really put himself out there on the living history thing on the 6th Floor Museum, and he decided to get involved on Facebook, and he decided to write a book finally that turned out to be a gigantically huge disappointment. But I digress. We have a very extensive library of things that Frazier has said over the years. And we also have a vast library and evidence and testimony and science to back up the fact that maybe Buell Frazier hasn't been entirely truthful all these years. Not to mention, he sometimes contradicts himself in his own stories. And sometimes things that he says just cannot be true. So we're going to be looking at all of this evening to see if we can parse out exactly what the problem is here, Joe. Mm-hmm. Now, we're going to get into this kind of chronologically, if you will. But I want to take you back before I hand it over to Joe and we get started, because Many moons ago, Joe, many moons, like back in the 20 teens, your boy, the Triple B, was approached by a swinging dick author by the name of Russ Baker. Right?
Okay.
He just he wrote this book, Family of Secrets, about the Bush Dynasty and all of that. That released somewhere around 2013 for the 50th anniversary, right? And I guess he had been listening to my show when I had done a show or two on Frazier, and he reached out to me and he wanted me to write, basically dig deep on Frazier, write it down in a cohesive, thoughtful way that made sense, right? And I was thinking, okay, cool, I might be able to do something here, get a little credit for this, and yada yada yada. So I agreed initially to do this, right? But what gave me the heebie-jeebies a little bit is the way he phrased it. Joe, are you familiar with what a memo to file is?
Remind me.
Okay. So what Russ Baker asked me for was a memo to file on Buell Frazier, which is legalese, right? Now, I'm no lawyer, so I don't know what the hell this means. So I look it up. And what a memo to file is, it's a formal internal note added to a project to document key information, decisions, or conversations that are not captured anywhere else. It creates a, quote, paper trail for due diligence, protecting professionals from future accusations and keeping projects updated.
Right. Defamation, most
Common
likely.
uses include documenting unexpected, important, or informal information. So basically, if I were to write something accusatory or inflammatory or defamatory about Buell Frazier and he publishes it in his book, he's not going to get in trouble. I am.
Yeah, that's what we call a problem.
Right. So I told Russ Baker, pound sand, dude. Go F yourself, because I ain't doing it.
Yeah, he kind of wanted to use you as like a conduit in a sense.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, and if you use anything that I've said on my shows without giving me the proper credit, you'll be hearing from my motherfucking lawyer. I'll give you a memo to file. So that did not end well. And he never did end up publishing that second book that he was working on, by the way. But whatever. So it would have all been for naught anyway, apparently. But that prompted me, to start putting a case together against Buell Frazier. Something that is backed up with evidence, and something that you could point at and be like, look, this does not make sense. Okay. And we'll get there. But there's a couple things that we want to focus on, and that's the contradictions from Frazier concerning Oswald. Now, they initially didn't think anything crazy about Frazier, but that changed at some point. He was found to be visiting his father-in-law at the Irving Medical Center, and the Irving police were notified, and they went out there at about 5:15 p.m., lured Frazier out of his stepfather's hospital bed room, and promptly arrested him and took him down to the Irving police station and started questioning him in the presence of some Dallas detectives that had come up to talk to him. And based on what he said during the course of that interview, they went back and they searched his car that was still parked at the Irving Medical Center. They said they didn't find anything in it. And then they took Buell over to where he was staying at his sister's house.
Right.
and Buell Frazier hands over his 303 British Enfield rifle and ammunition to them. All right. And it was at this point that they wanted to take Frazier back to Dallas to interrogate him further. And it was at this point that, of course, his sister freaks out. She calls to their priest, and, off they go to Dallas, where they start interrogating Frazier. Allegedly, Captain Fritz comes in the room with an already pre-typed confession, shoves it in front of Frazier and tells him to sign it. And according to Frazier, Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. 19-year-old tough guy, again, you know, tells him, I'm not signing that. And I guess Frazier or Fritz went back to like bitch slap him. And he was like, buddy, if you hit me, you're going to have one hell of a fight on your hands. And then supposedly Fritz backed down, and they gave him a lie detector test, and they said he passed it. And then their investigation of Buell Frazier stopped immediately. They let him go. Well, they start talking to Oswald. And when they're asking Oswald about a couple things, including curtain rods and things like that. And Oswald's like, I don't know what you're talking about. They call Frazier back. They bring him back into the police station.
Right.
And allegedly, there's some things that happen that we have not actually been told about. Like a lineup that included Buell Frazier and Oswald in it. To who, we don't know. Okay, but allegedly Buell Frazier told the HSCA that they put him in a lineup with Oswald that night for somebody. But we'll get there, I promise. So, Joe, let's start it off.
All right. Yeah, and wasn't Buell notoriously not close to his stepfather?
Yeah, I don't think they got along very well. But, of course, that makes zero sense. Why would Frazier, after seeing the president get his head blown off,
Right, getting let off of work early, maybe in the
Yeah, well,
2
19
o'clock
years old,
range.
where are you going? I'm cruising for chicks. I'm
Right.
going to shoot guns or something,
I'm gonna go visit my dying stepfather.
or the only way I could see it benefiting Frazier to go see him is if he needed advice about something. Like, what should I do?
Right. Because it's long been your suspicion that Buell drove Lee a lot more frequently than just on Fridays, right?
Yeah, and we'll get there too.
Okay. So yeah, I don't. Buell.
I have evidence to back it up.
All right.
A lot of evidence to back it up. So don't go anywhere, folks.
All right. So let's bring this up. If I can figure this out.
I thought it was so funny. Looking back, that I called that old show "Nailing Buell's Jewels to the Wall." I love it.
Yeah, so just disregard the members only thing, but this is Buell being led into, I believe, the DPD office, and that's where we are going to start, as we always like to do, with the same day affidavit, right?
Yep. What did it say today?
Yeah. So, Buell. And by the way, Rob, later when we read the Warren Commission testimony, we should do an impromptu Joseph Ball.
Oh, don't make me break out my Buell Frazier voice.
That's what I'm trying to do. I work at the Texas School Book Depository, corner Elm in Houston. I've worked there since September 13th, 1963. And one of the things I always find interesting when I revisit Buell is that he really only worked there a month before Oswald did. So he wasn't like someone that worked there for 10 years type of thing, right? Like, I think Joe Molina worked there for a long time.
Yeah.
Or he worked there a month before. So,
There was a discrepancy about how he got his job there, whether it was through something called the Massey Employment Agency or from Lenny Mae, his sister.
his sister, right?
Now, Frazier testified that the reason he moved to Irving to live with his sister was to find a job because he was living in bumfuck Egypt, Huntington, Texas. And after having no success on his own, he signed up with several employment agencies, including one called the Massey Employment Agency. And he testified that that is how he got his position at the Texas School Book Depository, and that he had an interview with Roy Truly on September 13th and started work the same day. Now, there's nothing in the records indicating that Massey Employment Agency was contacted to confirm the referral. Imagine that. It should have seemed to have important, to kind of clear this up, given that Buell's story is in conflict with the testimony of his sister, who told the commission that she had helped her brother search for work because as a local, she knew all the places that, quote, someone with, not very much of an education can find work, end quote. The help she gave consisted of listing all of such places. It was apparently as a result of that, a similar list was made for Dummy Oswald as well.
Yeah.
So if you had found the job through an agency, the logical thing to do would have been to recommend that agency to Oswald, Lenny Mae, but it doesn't appear that's what she said. So
Yeah, and to give some context to this, right? Marina's living with Ruth in Irving, right down the street from where Buell's sister Lenny Mae was living, and a lot of these ladies got together. So it could, I do think, we've talked about this a lot. Ruth wasn't fond of Lee in a lot of ways. She didn't think he could take care of her and the baby to come. So she tried to get him work.
That's her woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in 1963, you got to put on the happy face and wear the mask. And, in reality, Marina is freaking 8 months pregnant, right? About ready to have a baby. And Oswald ain't got a job or a pot to piss in. They're literally talking about how Marina is going to have to do blood transfusion credits, basically give blood every month for like 4 years straight to pay off her hospital bill.
Her medical bills, right?
I mean, Jesus, man.
Oof. Yeah, he definitely didn't have any health insurance, Lee. But about a month ago, I met Lee Harvey Oswald at work. I saw he was a new man, and I walked up to him and asked him if he was Lee. And again, this is November 22nd. Lee Buell's statement. I figured he...
Your name, Lee? My name's Buell. Nice to meet you.
I figured he must be...
I like your shoes. You like my moccasins?
I figured he must be Lee, as my sister had told me about him. I asked him if he would like to ride back and forth with me, as I knew his wife lived with Ruth Payne near my house, and he said he would, but only on weekends, and he had an apartment of his own in Oak Cliff. After that, every Friday evening, Lee would ride home with me and then ride back to work with me on Monday morning. That's implying he's staying the whole weekend, right?
Right.
He has only rode home from work with me on Fridays, but yesterday morning, Thursday, November 21st, 63, Lee told me that he wanted to ride home with me that evening. I was surprised, and I asked him if he was going home with me Friday also, and he goes, no. Which is interesting when we talk about Lee's possible plans to go to Cuba. Again, this is the same day. This is before anyone can kind of coerce Buell.
Well, this is, for me, Joe, this is red flag number one.
Okay.
Because like you said, this is an affidavit. This is not a questioning by police. This is not a questioning by the FBI. This is a freely given statement by Buell Frazier. Okay, he's not asked any questions. They ask him, or they basically tell him, tell us what your story is, basically. And the fact that he decides to make it a very important point of this affidavit to state that Lee would only ride home with me on the weekends and then ride back with me on Monday mornings. And then yesterday morning is kind of weird. On Thursday, he asked me if he could ride home with me and then said he wasn't going to need a ride on Friday and blah, 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 blah. He also mentions curtain rods here freely of his own accord, right?
Right. He told me that he was going home to get some curtain rods. Thursday afternoon, Lee rode to Irving with me to Ruth Payne's house where his wife is staying. I let him out of my car in front of Ruth's house. Then I went on. This morning, Friday, November 22nd, I got up between 6 and 6:30 a.m. and got ready to go to work and then sit down to eat breakfast around 7:15 a.m. Me, my mother, and my two little nieces were also at the table, and my sister was at the sink, and his sister made him his lunch, essentially.
As she should.
Yes. My mother looked up and said, "Who is that looking in the window?"
Who's that creep?
I looked up and said, "That's Lee."
Oh, that's just Lee. Don't pay him no mind.
I can't wait for this.
He's a little crazy in the head. He is.
I can't wait for this back and forth when we get to this warrant commission. I got up and finished getting ready and got my lunch and went back to the door and met Lee at the carport. We then, I guess that means driveway, right? We then walked to the car.
Such a thing as a carport. It's like a garage with no walls, Joe.
Okay.
It has like a roof, but no walls.
I see. Okay.
That's what they call a carport.
We don't have those in Connecticut.
Yes. They're very, very, very fluent down here in the South.
Before I got in the car, I glanced at...
cost a lot of money, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Garages, yeah. Garage doors. I glanced in the back seat and saw a big sack. I'm sure there's a joke in there. We're going to be mature about this right now, allegedly.
Lee, what a mighty big sack you got back there.
Maybe not. It must have been about 2 feet long, I believe that is.
Yes, that's 2 feet long. Yes.
And at the top of the sack,
the skin was sort of folded up a little bit up there.
It was sort of folded up, and the rest of the sack had been kind of folded under. I asked Lee what was in the sack, and he said curtain rods. And I remember that he had told me the day before that he was going to bring some curtain rods. We drove to work the same way that I usually go. We came into town on Stemmons Freeway to Maine and Maine to Record, and then on across to McKinney and by the warehouse to the parking lot. I parked the car and sit there a while and run the motor to charge the battery. Buell, man. And while I was doing that, Lee got out, opened the back door, and got the package out of the back seat and walked behind the car. Then I got out of the car and started walking towards the building where I work. So
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, this is, I believe, the last page. I noticed that Lee had the package in his right hand under his arm, and the package was straight up and down. And he had his arm down, and you could not see much of this package. When we started walking, Lee was just a few feet ahead of me, but he kept walking faster than me, and finally got way ahead of me. And who is it that said, when Lee came into the building, Rob, that said, "Where's your driver?"
Well, we'll get there.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say who said they saw him come in with no package. That would be the That
Was that Shelley?
no, that was the half a Riri Jack Doherty.
Oh, I saw him go into the back door of the loading dock of the building that we work in, and he still had the package under his arm. I did not see him anymore for about 30 minutes, and then we were both working. Lee did not carry his lunch today. He told me this morning he was going to buy his lunch today, which is weird because I don't feel like Lee would buy his lunch, right? He was very frugal.
Right, especially if you can steal food from Ruth Payne's house and not have to pay for it.
Yeah. Or let Lenny May make him a sandwich.
Hey, while you're at the stove, Lenny, why don't you cook a boy another egg?
I was standing on the front steps of the building when the parade came by, and I watched the parade go by. And this is important, guys, all jokes aside. After President Kennedy had got out of my sight, I heard 3 shots. I stood there, then people started running by, and I turned and went back in the building and got my lunch and eat it. Okay? Now, when we get to his 6th floor interview, this is
red flag number 2 because he's already laid the groundwork for supposedly bringing Oswald to work. Now he's laying the groundwork for the mysterious package. Okay, he basically says it was about 2 feet long, which is of course not long enough to hold a rifle, not even broke down rifle, and he basically states in here that it was not his lunch, so it wasn't his lunch in a bag. Okay, and he says Lee told him that it was curtain rods. Okay, whatever. And then he says that he's standing there, he watches Kennedy get his head blown off, and decides to go back in the building and eat his lunch. Who the fuck does that?
right. How could you eat after an incident
Who
like
does
that? And he's going to tell a different story when we get to his interview in the 6th floor museum, where he goes, I followed Shelley and Lovelady to the knoll, and a bunch of things are added here. I did not see Lee anymore after 11 p.m. today, and at that time, we were both working and we were on the 1st floor. Signed, Wesley Frazier.
Yes, he was going by Wesley back then, not Buell.
Yes.
Later years.
Wesley is his middle name, I believe.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Much cooler than Buell.
Yeah.
Wesley is my middle name as well.
So,
that, Joe.
Wait, your middle name is Wesley?
It is.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I did not know that. See, learn something new every day. So listen, Buell was interviewed by the Warren Commission twice. I'm going to only go over his first time testimony, and I feel like, Rob, it's best we leave his part 2 when they came to Dallas for members only next week, just because there's just so much to go over.
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot.
There's a lot.
Parse out.
So you got Ford, you got Earl Warren, you got other senators, you got J. Lee Rankin, you got Joseph Ball, you got Beelin, Jenner, DeMoranshill's favorite person, everyone. So listen, this is funny. This doesn't really have any relevance. I go by Wesley. All right. Well, Wesley, what is your age? Rob.
Are you playing both parts, or what are we doing here?
No, you're playing Frazier.
Oh, well, you were playing him first.
All right, well,
I go by Wesley.
Well, Wesley, what is your age?
Sir?
What is your age?
19.
Again, so funny he can't even, answer, the first basic question, right? Where do you live?
Well, for the time being, I'm living in Irving now.
Irving, Texas?
Yes, sir.
And again, I'm jumping around here because this is, so long.
Let's see. When I got in the car, I have a kind of habit of glancing over my shoulder And so at that time I noticed that there was a package laying on the back seat. I didn't pay too much attention, and I said, "What's the package, Lee?" And he said, "Curtain rods." And I says, "Oh yeah, you told me you was going to bring some today. That is the reason, the main reason he was going over there that Thursday afternoon when he was to bring back some curtain rods. So I didn't think any more about it when he told me that."
What did the package look like?
Well, I will be frank with you. I would just it's just the kind you get out of a grocery store, just more or less out of a package. You've seen some of these brown paper sacks, and you can obtain from most stores some varieties, but it was a package, just about 2 feet long.
It was. What part of the back seat was it in?
It was in his side, over on his side in the far back.
How much of that back seat? How much space did it take up?
Well, dumb motherfucker, considering I said it was 2 feet long, it took up around 2 feet of the seat.
Did you eat your lunch? And again, I'm skipping here.
No, sir. Right then I didn't. I say, he was supposed to come by during our lunch hour, so you don't get very many chances to see the President of the United States. And being an old Texas boy, and he never having been down to Texas very much, I went out there to see him. And just like everybody else was, I was standing on the steps there, and I watched for the parade to come by, and so I did. And I stood there until he came by.
So you went out there after you quit work
Right, for lunch.
about 12 o'clock,
Right.
and you hadn't eaten your lunch up to that time.
No.
Did you go out there with somebody?
Yes, sir, I did.
Who did you go out there with?
I stayed around there pretty close to Mr. Shelley and this boy named Billy Lovelady, and just standing there, people talking and just talking about how pretty a day it turned out to be. Because I told you earlier, it was an old cloudy, misty day, and it didn't look like it was going to be a pretty day at all.
Yeah, and they go into the weather a bunch, like for no reason. So, did you see the president go by?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you hear anything?
Well, I say, just right after he went by, he hadn't hardly got by. I heard a sound, and if you've ever been around these motorcycles, you know how they backfire. And so I thought one of them motorcycles had backfired because right before his car came down, now there were several of these motorcycle policemen, and they took off down towards the underpass down there. So I thought, that one of them motorcycles had backfired, but it wasn't just a few seconds. I heard two more of the same type. Sounds, and by that time, people was just a running everywhere, falling down and screaming and shit. And naturally, then I knew something was wrong. And so I came to the conclusion that somebody was shooting at somebody. And I figured it was him.
You figured it was who?
I figured it was somebody shooting at President Kennedy because people were running and hollering. So I just stood still. I've always been taught when something like that happens or anywhere as far as that, it's always best to just stand still. Because if you run, it makes you look guilty, sure enough.
That's an interesting comment by Frazier.
Yes,
Now then, did you have any impression at that time as to the direction of which the sound came?
Well, to be frank with you, I thought it came from down there, where the underpass is. There's a series, quite a few number of them railroad tracks there running together. And from where I was standing, it sounded like something I can't read because it's cut off at the bottom.
Like it was coming from the railroad tracks down there.
There we go.
All right, sorry. But yeah, interesting that's where, Frazier's not saying, I thought it came from above me, right? Standing at the steps. He, like most people, thought it was coming from the knoll and in the direction of the underpass. Mr. Frazier, your turn.
Just you hang in there, Randy. We haven't even gotten started yet, brother. Well, we left, after we stood and talked with some big, strong guys there. Some of them had eaten, and some of them didn't. Some of them had sandwiches in their hands, so naturally, I felt like eating when I looked at them sandwiches they was holding, and I walked around the bin, and I walked down the steps right there.
Got your lunch?
Damn right.
Came back up?
No, sir. I didn't come back up. Shit. I was sitting down there eating my lunch all by myself in the dark in the basement. I looked at my watch and didn't have but 10 minutes. So naturally, I ate faster than normal. So I was eating a couple of sandwiches. I ate an apple or something. I came right back up, and the people who worked there, standing all around the first floor. My tummy's all full and shit. Some of them eating their lunches, and others merely talking. I'm just standing there like, damn, I'm stuffed as a tick.
You never went back to work.
No, sir, we didn't. I don't know if I could have done any more at work that day.
You stayed there on the job until you were told to go home.
Yes, sir.
What time did they tell you to go home?
It was between 1 and 2 there sometime, roughly. I don't know.
Did any other people who were standing there with you express any opinion as to where they thought the sounds came from?
Objection, hearsay. Well, I say, after we found out it was shots, I see some of the other people down there when they were staying there said that it was what it was. Downward right back from it. Like where we were standing. If we had been standing somewhere else, you might have gotten a different opinion. But where we were standing on the steps, there it sounded like back down to the right.
Yeah.
West area.
Right. So that's where I'm going to stop you. If you're looking out the front steps of the TSBD, where Frazier was standing, to the right is the knoll and the underpass. So that's what he is describing here. Mr. Ball, here's Commission Exhibit 347. 347, Rob. It is an aerial photograph, and it shows the TSBD building.
I know you can't see me right now, but my eyes just rolled. Okay.
I figured. I could feel it.
Well, right here is the depository building here.
That is right, sir. Here's the parkway.
Yeah, right.
Here's the overpass here. Can you show us on that map where you think... Well, that map, can you and the map indicate the general direction from which you thought the sounds came from?
Yes, sir, because we were standing right here.
Then he goes on, don't mark it up right now, which is interesting.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is that we were standing down there and then back over here, and this over here is more or less a knoll, and you can look over there and see this. You see this furthest left line that curved around. Here is the ones we take to come out on the Stemmons Expressway, and this is a high knoll up here, which runs where the tracks are. From standing there, it sounded like it came from this general area over here.
Yeah, and then they ask him to mark it, and, he marks the knoll, blah, blah,
yes.
blah. But, okay, so let me stop sharing this. And, Rob, do you want, before we get into, hold on, let me remove myself. Let's get into what Buell says a couple of years ago, because it changes, and then we'll get into you. Remove, no, cancel. I'm trying to add it to the scene here. All right. So this is Buell.
5 years ago.
Yes.
Braving.
Let's see what he has to say here. Let me enlarge this. No pun intended.
And to tell you a little side story, one day he was talking and the guys were laughing, and he used a sentence, and there's a word in the sentence I didn't understand. I said, well, what is that? What does that mean? Well, being a school book expositor, we had a lot of dictionaries. So I go over to the bins and I pull out a dictionary and I find the word, and I was reading the definition, and then I applied the definition of the word to the sentence he used. And behold, he caught me reading in the dictionary. He says, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm looking up that word you used in a sentence. I said, I wasn't familiar about, and I didn't know exactly what it meant, but I said, now I understand. And then that's when he come back to me, and about this, we're standing about this far apart, our faces. He says, you're very different. I said, I don't know about that. He said, well, you don't make fun of me. He said, you try to understand, you're nice, you're kind. And I said, well, thank you. But no, he didn't get along very well with the other employees. There wasn't any hard feelings that he just didn't fit in.
Now, it wasn't long before you started giving Oswald a ride to Irving. Now, Oswald and his wife were separated at that time. She was living with Ruth Payne in Irving. Oswald had a
Who was
rooming
filming
house
this shit?
over here on Beckley in Oak Cliff. So on these
I don't know, someone at the 6th floor museum, I think.
Cameras all over the place.
Yeah, this is like the funnier part. We're gonna get into the details and the next 2 timestamps.
trips going to and from, on leaving Friday, bringing him back on Monday, what would you guys talk about?
Well, the number one thing that I could get Lee to talk about was his child. Marina, they had one child, and Marina was pregnant with their second child. And I could get more out of him talking about his daughter. We didn't talk about sports or what the latest number one hit on the radio was. Nothing like that. It was strictly business.
And contrary to some of the accounts that are out there, you never took Lee to a rifle range or went out to eat with him or anything like that?
That is true. We never, when we would be coming home on Friday afternoon, and it still is in America. A lot of times when guys work together, sometimes they'll stop off and they'll have a burger and a beer, and they'll talk about what went on that week or what there may be going on next week. We never did any of that. And as far as the rifle range, we never went to a rifle range. The only place we would go together was out to Irving and then back to take the school bus and Dallas here. The same building you're in here.
Now, Lee famously deviated from his typical Friday, Monday routine and asked you for a ride on Thursday, November 21st, so he could spend the night in Irving.
Yes, that is correct. He did. He came up to me during the day, I think it was sometime a little after lunch, and he said, can I ride home with you today? I said, sure. I said, I told you could ride any day. Well, a short time later, I was reading.
There you go,
I
Rob.
was filling an order, and I looked at the date on the invoice. I said, today's not Friday. Today's Thursday. So the next time I ran into him a little while later, I said, hey, are you aware that this is not Friday? This is Thursday. He said, yes. He said, I know that. And he said, you told me I could always ride out with you when I needed to ride. I said, that is correct. So he said that he'd be riding home with me that afternoon. And the reason he wanted to ride home, he told me that Marina had made him some curtains for his room at the rooming house. And that he was going out to Irving to get some curtain rods that Miss Payne had. So I said, okay. I didn't think anything about it. Now, I never had been to the rooming house. I did not know what I'm fixing to tell you. He already had curtains in his room, but I did not know that.
The curtain rods, of course, are very important to the next part of the story. The next morning, you and your sister, Lenny Mae Randall, observe Lee with a package. Tell me about that package.
Well, my sister was at the kitchen sink, and she was fixing my lunch. I took my lunch every day. And so She looked up and she saw Lee walking across the street, and he had a package with him. Well, he crosses the street, puts the package on the passenger side in the back seat of my car, which is a four-door Chevy, and then he comes around and he looks in the window. So my three little nieces and I were eating breakfast. My mother was there. She looks up and she says, Lee looking in the window. Well, she was startled. And she says, who's that man looking in the window? Being a typical teenage kid, I said, where? Because we had more than one window in that part of the house, the kitchen and the den area. So she says,
All right, I'm gonna go
over at the sink.
a little
Well,
bit.
look, and there he was.
Yes, please do.
A little bit further.
Briefly tell us that.
Well, Mr. Shelley and Billy had gone down toward the triple underpass to try to find out what actually had happened. There was a tremendous amount of people that day on the sidewalk. The sidewalk out here is pretty wide, but I mean, they were just like, excuse the expression, like sardines in a can. There wasn't any room. I mean, if someone passed out, they would never hit the concrete. There's so many people. So they had gone down to see if they could find out what actually was going on. Well, I stood on the steps for a few short time, and then I said, well, I'm going to go see if I can find Billy and Mr. Shelley. So I go start down that way, and out in front of this building here used to be angle parking. And so I was somewhere down in the area of the angle parking there.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there, Rob. Was any of this in his description of his first Warren Commission testimony? That
No.
he followed Shelley and Lovelady there?
No.
No. So this is
Nor
added.
was it in his affidavit.
Right. He went down to eat. He saw other people with sandwiches and made him hungry.
Yeah, he just saw Kennedy's head blown off and reminded him of a watermelon. He got a little hungry. Those big Texas watermelons, Joe.
Yeah.
Nice and juicy, right?
And I was walking along, and I looked up, and there was a man with a rifle. I was terrified. Stop and think, what actually happened there 58 years ago today? That's a crime of the century. It's never been solved.
So now he sees someone with a rifle on the knoll.
No, it's not in the knoll. It's in the trunk of a car.
Okay, I thought it was in the
Front
back.
of the school book depository.
Okay.
So I saw this man. This man was not a policeman. He was not a detective. If you could have seen the type of clothing he was wearing that day, this guy was a professional, all the way down to his shoes. His shoes probably cost several $100s. And back then, in 1963, not many people wore shoes or
They
in
were
that
made out
price
of
range.
baby alligator leather.
His clothes.
I'm sorry.
They was made out of baby dolphin leather.
I pay attention to a man's shoes, Rob.
Was such much greater quality. I talked to my friend Jim Lavelle about that. Jim Lavelle had a new suit he wore the day they was transporting Lee from the city jail, the headquarters, down to the city jail here.
That suit is downstairs on display on the 6th floor right now.
Yes. So he and I talked about the clothing, and I told him, I said, you know, that's something that I always admired was clothing. But the attire this man wore, starting off with his fedora, they don't tell him what the hat cost. His clothing, he was immaculate. This guy was a pro. He looked at me, and the look he had on his face was a cold look. He wasn't scared. He knew exactly what he was doing. And I was so scared, he probably thought I could remember my name. And at the time, I probably couldn't have. But he puts the rifle in the back seat of his car. He's parked out at the angle parking. And he closes the trunk and goes to open the door on his car. I turn around and I walk slowly back toward the front entrance of the Texas School Book Depository. I was so scared. What I had witnessed that day and that time, I did see it, but if you'd have asked me 10 minutes later, I would have told you I didn't see anything. It was locked in my mind. I've read about this where people have witnessed things that were so frightening to them, it's just locked into their mind. And that's exactly what happened to me. And I walked back slowly toward the front steps of the Texas School Book Depository, but I didn't go up the steps. I went to the corner of Houston and Elm Street. And there was a couple of people there, and we started to talk about what was going on. And then I turned to my left and walking, he comes off the dock, the loading dock here of this building, was Lee Harvey Oswald. Walked alongside of the building very patiently, not in a hurry. And I thought he was going to walk all the way up to where I was, but he did not. He stopped probably 10 feet or so before, and he went diagonally across, got in the crosswalk, crossed Houston, and once he crossed Houston Street, then he crossed Elm Street. And halfway across Elm, somebody said something to me, and I turned to see who was talking to me, because I did not recognize the voice. And when I looked back, I had lost Lee in the crowd.
Now, these are obviously some very extraordinary memories, and
All right, Joe. Goddamn.
you're well aware of it. In your affidavit from that day, your Warren Commission
second.
testimony, you discuss seeing the parade pass and then immediately going downstairs to the basement to have your lunch. So, I mean, these additions to your story have come under some scrutiny by assassination researchers. You mentioned you were scared, and I know you write about this in some detail in the book, but I mean, give us a sense. You were afraid for yourself and afraid for your family to reveal some of this information?
Yes.
All right. So, obviously, none of this was in his same day affidavit or in his Warren Commission Part 1. We'll get to Part 2. I don't think any of it was in Part 2 either. But, oof. I don't think he left the area of the steps, really. I don't think he followed Shelley and Lovelady. I do believe Shelley and Lovelady went to go investigate the Knoll area. There's no indication that Buell followed them or went into the back in the loading dock and saw Lee. Because, again, they're asking Lee in the DPD affidavit about Lee, literally. None of this came up. And the excuse, I was scared, just doesn't pass with me.
Yeah, at least not about that. Now, when it comes to possibly being implicated in the murder as an accomplice, that changes the narrative a little bit and probably scared the hell out of him.
Right.
So let's get there.
All right. I have one more timestamp that I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay.
Let's see. 47:29. I could hear your eye roll from here, even though I can't see you.
Trust me, Toopsy, you don't want that. His comb over is immaculate.
Yeah, he does have good hair. Someone mentioned that earlier.
He drove.
You don't remember if it turned on Houston or went around to Elm?
No,
Or,
no.
okay.
I was so scared I just couldn't look.
Okay. Were there other people around? I mean, this for someone to have this rifle out in the open where you were able to just see him, was there anyone else around who was witnessing the same thing to your knowledge?
No.
Okay.
And, my wife asked.
Shout out
said,
Hagen for good
Did
questions.
someone else see him? And my answer is, I don't know. All I know, it was just he and I there at the car.
What a bunch of bullshit.
When you were witnessing the shooting, up standing on the top of the steps of the school book depository, were you surrounded only by depository employees? Meaning, did you know everybody that was up there watching the parade with you?
No, I did not know everyone because the only people I knew that worked up in the offices there for the different publishers is someone that I had contact with talking about an order. Now, could there have been someone that didn't work there in the work in this building, Texas School Book Depository? There could have been. I don't know.
Now, of course, there's been a theory over the years that Oswald was out there with you, standing at the top of those steps. You mentioned seeing Oswald coming down from the loading dock after the assassination, which is doesn't fit with the official explanation of Oswald coming out the front entrance. But, I mean, just to be absolutely clear, since you were right there 58 years ago, you have no memory whatsoever of seeing Oswald anywhere in that area in the front part of the building where the entrance was at the time of the shooting.
That is correct. I did not see him. Now the person in the picture there of the front steps of the Texas School Book Depository, down on the very bottom, looks like he's holding up the wall, is a man named Billy Lovelady. And there's some people say that is Oswald. If you put Billy Lovelady standing beside Lee Oswald, there's no comparison. The only thing they have that could be compared is they both had a high forehead.
Did you ever talk to Lee about his time in Russia or his service in the Marine Corps?
No.
I don't believe that.
Lee wasn't a talking person, as I said before, and I learned a lot of things about him afterwards. But as far as talking about what he did in Russia or in the Marine Corps, we never talked about anything like that.
This is a little bit of a personal question, but it's so interesting I want to ask it. Do you relive that day in your mind every day? And did people treat you differently after the...
All right, I'm going to stop it there because I'm getting long here. But yeah, story seems to change a little bit. Right, Rob?
Yeah, and there's a whole lot of story in the middle because Joe
Right.
didn't stick to the chronological script of the podcast because, we jumped from the Warren Commission to his most recent interview at the 6th floor, which was 5 years ago. But in the meantime,
There's part 2 of the Warren Commission.
there's part 2 of the Warren Commission. There's the Clay Shaw trial, which he did go to and testify in. There's also the George O'Toole book, the assassination tapes that he was interviewed by George O'Toole for. There was the HSCA. There's the mock trial.
Mm-hmm.
And not much after the mock trial until we get to the early 2000s when we get to the first time he did his living history, which I do have a short clip from.
Well, Rob, to be fair to myself, I can't go 2 hours on my segment alone covering all this, but we will cover this on part 2 on Wednesday for the members.
No, I know, but I was thinking we'd go chronologically.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to show the most recent, just for showing of how his statements were so inconsistent. And we will get into more of the details of what Rob just mentioned.
All right, so back 60 years. Lovelady, in his testimony, stated that he did not believe Oswald had an automobile, and he had heard that he rode back and forth to work from Irving with an employee named Wesley, last name unknown, who was also an order filler. Lovelady was of the opinion from his conversation with Wesley, last name unknown, that Wesley had been the person who told Oswald to seek employment at the school book depository. And by the way,
I was going to say, and remember, Rob, Buell had only started working there in mid-September, so Lovelady might not have known all the details about him at that point, right? He wasn't working with him for a decade, right?
Yeah. Lovelady stated that it takes 30 seconds for the elevator to go from the 7th floor down to the 1st floor. So not very long. That elevator was fucking flying back then. 30 seconds to get from the 7th floor to the 1st floor. Or even less than 30 seconds to get from the 6th floor to the 1st floor. As he has timed this in the past, he says. He stated there are 3 ways a person could leave the 6th floor: by the elevator, by the stairs, or by the fire escape. Lovelady said he did not observe any strangers during the morning period prior to the lunch break in the building at 12 noon. Now, I want to show you a picture of where Frazier parked his car that morning in relation to the school book depository that has the arrow pointing to it in the distance. Okay? It was a hike. A freaking hike. 2,250 feet away from where Frazier parks his car, allegedly, and makes Oswald walk all that way with this giant package under his arm, right? Which, by the way, I find hard to believe because there's no road here that goes direct. I mean, they had to walk. They're walking through this dirt, mud pit of shit because there's no like road. At that time, Houston Street did not extend down past the book depository. There were railroad tracks there that you could to get across the tracks. You had to lay down wood for trucks to get over the railroad tracks. So again, this is very far away. And early that morning, it was raining. It would have been muddy. And you know, if you're driving a car, Joe, like if I had just picked Joe up and given him a ride into work, and it's raining, and I knew I had to park a country mile away, I would be a nice guy and drop Joe off at the door because he has to carry this gigantic package or 2-foot package with him.
And I would appreciate that.
And then I would go park my car and make my way into work, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the nice thing to do, right?
That would be, yeah.
Well, maybe he did.
Maybe he did.
Maybe he did.
And Opto, just because I'm catching up in the comments here because I had my screen up, would it be interesting to see Frazier's handwritten affidavit to the DPD? And yes, it is on the DPD website. I just didn't feel like translating the cursive. So it is there. So I'm pretty sure it lines up.
Okay, Joe. Let's see here. How do I enlarge this? Okay, here we go.
That's what she said.
Okay, first up, we're going to hear from Harold Norman, who was one of Oswald's co-workers at the school book depository. They never asked about this during the Warren Commission. Shocker. But they did during the HSCA. So as Investigator Maxwell is asking Norman, was Frazier the guy that drove Oswald to work, and was he friendly with everybody in the place? Norman says, yeah, I think Wesley got along pretty well with everybody in the place. And Maxwell says, and of all the people in the place, about the only one you think that was friendly with Oswald was Wes. Norman says, well, I would say, I guess, because he rode to work with him. I don't know how many times he rode to work with him. Okay? And then Investigator Day asks him, who was Oswald's best friend in the building? Norman says, I don't know of him having one. I don't really. Day asked him, well, did you know the man Oswald came to work with? Norman says, yes. What was his name? Frazier. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Norman's of the opinion that Oswald rode to work with Frazier.
Right. And you could imagine a situation where these guys were pretty much 1 or 2 months employed, that they would might have kind of came together in a sense, right? Like not being someone there like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
As compared, like they're both new employees.
All right. We're going to hear from Junior Jarman next. He's asked, during the time he was working there, did you ever see him show any type of animosity towards anybody? Jarman says, no. He was just the average fellow to me. And then Maxwell asked, did you associate with any particular person there? Jarman says, no one, but I can think of the dude's name. The one that brought him the work all the time. A fellow that worked with him? Yeah. Well, let me ask you one thing. You said you saw him sometime between 8 and 8:30 that morning for the first time? Wesley? No, I don't even think he's here now. Did they come to work there together? Yes. He always brought Oswald to work.
Always.
Always. Down below a little bit. How about the fellow that worked with Oswald, the guy you said usually brought him to work? Did you see him the next day? I saw him that same day. Okay. We're talking about the same day as the assassination, right? Now we move on to Mr. Edward Shields, who worked at the other school book depository building, the one where Frazier parked his car at.
Right.
Often referred to as the State Building. Shields says, if I'm not mistaken, I think he rode with Frazier every day that he worked there, if I can recall. And earlier you said that you recall that Oswald had worked there for about 6 weeks? Yeah, he worked there 6 weeks, from mid-October to the November to the assassination. Day says, now let me back up a little bit. Are you telling me that this fella said somebody who worked in the book depository, the building down on Elm in Houston, hollered out the window and asked Frazier where was his rider? Mm-hmm. Are you talking about the morning of the assassination? I think it was, Mr. Davis, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it was. And how did you come about this information? Well, I was down on the floor when they hollered it out and said, and the answer he gave him. I don't know. I think he said, I dropped him off at the building. Now, whoever it was hollering that asked him, I'm not sure. And he said, this is the morning of the assassination. Mm-hmm. And somebody hollered out the window at Frazier and say, where is your rider? And to your recollection, Frazier says, I dropped him off at the building. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How about Wesley? Wesley Frazier. Right. You're correct. All right. He rode to work with him. Wesley Frazier. Yes. And they would park their car normally, not at this other location, that State Building that's 2,250 feet away from the school book depository. Normally, he says they would park their car right on Houston Street, get out and walk to the building on Elm Street and go in the back door where the loading dock is. Okay?
Yeah. I would do that too, for the record. I wouldn't walk that far.
Hell no. All right. The day of the assassination, did you see Oswald come to work with Frazier? No, I didn't. They told me that he let him out at the building. He did not come on the parking lot. You say they told you? Who's they? Well, Jarman, them, and all them fellas, meaning all his black friends that worked there at the building. All right. This is just, well, can you tell me a specific person? And he said, yeah, I think Charles Gibbons hollered out there and asked Frazier where was his rider. And he told him I dropped him off at the building. Yeah, that was it. You say he drove him to work? You used to see him in the parking lot? Yes, he come by the parking lot. Did he drive him to work every day that you can recall or on certain days? And his answer was, which I think I got cut off here, but every day. Now.
Yeah. And that would make sense because, listen, if, say, Rob is driving me to work and I have a package of whatever, curtain rods, I don't think it was a rifle, but would you not, and it was a misty, kind of cloudy, rainy morning, right?
Yeah,
which is why they wanted to have the bubble top on the limousine, right? Would you not be like, yo, do you want to get out here and I'll just meet you in there? I think so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
And now, okay, we've seen what these fellas told the HSCA, and now you're going to hear audibly with your own ears from Roy Lewis, another black employee of the School Book Depository, who was there on November 22nd, 1963. And let's hear what he has to say, Joe.
Okay.
We're going to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Here we go.
That was my concept.
And then he went and parked.
And then he went and parked, right.
That's
Now,
right.
that's my concept.
That's right.
But I didn't see any of it. I can't say because I wasn't eyewitness to it. But he put him out in the bag. He's always put him out. Now, you said he only rode with him on weekend. He rode with him every day,
Really?
Monday through Friday.
Really? Mm-hmm. We didn't know that.
And he would bring him. But he would let him out in the back door. That's what I'm finna tell you.
That's
He
right.
would let him out and come in the back together.
And that, folks, is, again, Roy Lewis, interviewed by Larry Rivera in a very loud fucking restaurant, unfortunately. But you get the gist. Roy Lewis was, I believe, 14 or 15 years old when he started working at the School Book Depository. He lied and told him that he was older. But he was very young then, but very observant. And he basically corroborated what Edward Shields told the HSCA in the 1970s. This interview with Roy Lewis just happened a couple years ago. Okay? And it's very interesting. He says Frazier would bring him to work every day, right?
Every day.
Every day.
Not a couple times a week. Not on Fridays or Thursdays. Every day.
Because here's the deal. If Frazier didn't bring Oswald to work, okay, how did he get to work? He didn't walk. All right, it's too far to walk.
Right.
He wouldn't have paid for a cab.
He would not have. No.
He would have likely ridden a bus.
Right. But do we have any records of him riding a bus to work every day, Rob?
We do not. We also do not have any record of the bus driver who picked up the accused assassin of the president and had him on his bus every day of the week for 6 weeks straight. We don't have the bus riding regulars. People ride the bus to work every day at the same time with the same people. We don't have any testimony from anybody that supposedly rode to work or from work on the same bus as the accused assassin of the president for 6 weeks prior to the assassination. You'd think some, chatty Cathy would be all over that. Oh my God, I can't. He used to ask me for my papers, if I was done reading it, or something. Or like, this guy creeped me out. He would just sit there and look at me and, there'd be something. Okay, there'd be something. So, back at it like a jackrabbit. Here we go. Let's see. All right. Again, this is Commission Exhibit 361. This is an overview of supposedly where Frazier parked his car down here at the bottom in the red circle. Okay.
Right.
And where he would have had to walk to get to the building on Elm Street. Okay, which is the red circle here at the top. Now you can see Houston Street as it comes down beside the book depository doesn't continue. It ends, which is exactly how it did in 1963. It ended at the train tracks back there. Again, walking distance, 2,250 feet. Now, how many feet is a mile, Joe?
Oy vey. How many feet is a mile? Shit. I don't fucking know. A lot. Let's see. 3,000 something?
Well, it's 5,280 feet.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
way
so this
off.
is basically half a mile. Okay. Now, if you're walking, you can basically walk a mile in about 12 minutes. So to walk from this car through the mud and dirt, right, all the way over there, you're looking at 6, 7 minutes. That's a walk.
At least.
Yeah, that's a hike.
At least. I mean, if I'm on
Yes.
the treadmill and I'm like lightly jogging, like a mile is like 13 minutes.
Yep. And now let's get to another accusation that we saw Frazier address in the living history deal there that Joe showed. Did they ever go to a shooting range together? Well, Commission Exhibit 3077, a man by the name of Garland Slack maintains that he witnessed Oswald in the company of someone named Frazier and whose car description just happened to match Buell's. Quote, in an effort to resolve discrepancies in information furnished by Mr. Slack concerning this incident, Mrs. Slack contacted Mr. Slack during the interview. According to Mrs. Slack, Mr. Slack maintained that Oswald was at the rifle range on November 17th, 1963, and that he had been brought there by a man named Frazier from Irving, Texas. Mrs. Slack stated she felt her husband was confused as to the date when he observed the individual he believed to be Oswald at the range, but he was sincere in this statement he had previously made to agents of the FBI and during his testimony before the President's Commission. And of course, this testimony was dismissed and overlooked as being misremembered.
Right. And buried in Commission Exhibit 3000 something.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Now, many moons ago, I thought it'd be a good idea, Joe, to go looking for Wesley Buell Frazier's polygraph test examination from the Dallas Police Department, right? You think that they would have that somewhere.
You think so?
Right. Well, they don't, apparently.
Should I add that to the list?
No, because you're not going to find it there.
Oh.
But if you are, I can tell you exactly where you can try to look. There's the identifier number.
Oh, let me screenshot this. Okay.
The problem is, if you scroll on down yonder, it has an access restriction, possibly specific access restriction of the JFK Assassination Records Collection Act. Some materials may have been withdrawn for reasons of personal privacy or national security.
They always use national security. Yeah. But, bro, get the David Ferry thing out.
Oh, Gregory. Thank you, sir.
What's up, Greg? How are you?
Exactly. He's just looking to make an extra dime with that interview and the book before he kicks the old bucket. I agree.
Yeah.
Got to come up with something if you're going to finally put out a book, 62 years after it happened.
Right.
However long, 58 years after it happened.
Yeah, you can't just say the same things you said.
Exactly.
You got to add some meat and taters, as we call it on the book reviews. But thank you, Greg. We love you.
Yep. We'll talk more about the assassination tapes on members only. But now what's interesting is, if you can see here, this little bit at the top, it is a piece of a transcription from Frazier's HSCA testimony.
Right.
Now, 2 of 4 of Frazier's HSCA testimony tapes are so badly damaged that they have never been transcribed fully. The other 2 are barely listenable. And why that is, there's some interesting things that have been drawn out of it, okay? Including this one. When questioned by Moriarty, Frazier says, "No, I didn't know that he'd been caught, but I will tell you this. I knew that he hid or had the rifle." And Moriarty says, And Frazier says, "He did. And I said to myself, oh my God, that was the first thing right there on the steps. I also knew that I didn't want to get pulled in." Moriarty says, Now that right there is a pretty damn inflammatory statement, don't you think, Joe?
I think so, yeah.
Also, during the HSCA interview, you told the investigators that you were put in a police lineup with Oswald. A question for him would have been, about what time of night did this take place? And was it before or after you were called back to the station to take a polygraph? Also, in his HSCA testimony, he said that Oswald told him that he owned Dallas and that he said, you drove the car. Do you remember anything else about what went on during that lineup? Would have been a good question to ask old Frazier.
Right. And let's speculate here, Rob.
Yeah.
It probably would have had to been before the midnight press conference, right? So you're thinking like late Friday, like very late Friday, like 11 p.m.
Yeah, I'm sure it was after they pulled him back.
Right.
After they brought him back to the station to question him more after Oswald denied the curtain rod story. They had some witness in there that they wanted to do a lineup for, and we have no clue who it was.
Or who else was in the lineup as well, right? Because remember
Right.
the other lineups in regards to the whole Tippett thing, it was all like cops, and then you have Oswald beat up and shirt torn and etc. Right?
So this is very interesting, right?
Very.
So let's move on down the line a little bit here. Let's get past Randall. He refused to identify himself in this Darnell still at the AARC conference in 2014 in Bethesda, Maryland, or comment on the possible identity of Prayer Man, who he obviously had to fucking see because he's standing right fucking next to him.
Right.
Also, in his testimony, Frazier has said that he came down off them steps, right, to the bottom step to start to follow Shelley and Lovelady, who, in the larger picture of this frame, you can see starting to head down Elm Street towards the knoll.
Wait. Where can you see that?
It's not in this. It's cut off from this frame, but
Okay.
it's either in the Wigman or Darnell. You can see Lovelady and Shelley walking down towards the knoll.
Right.
All right. Now, this is Frazier standing up there with his arms crossed, not moving, hasn't moved a fucking inch. It's the assassination.
Looking at sandwiches.
Yeah, looking at Prayer Man over here eating a fucking sandwich, thinking, boy, that roast beef sure does look good. I can hear my little tummy rumbling a little bit down there. But you know, he describes the scene as utter chaos. People were packed in there like sardines after the assassination. Right. People running everywhere, and this motherfucker's just standing there like a statue at the top of the steps, thinking, "Oh my God!" Right? What did he say? Thinking, "Oh my God, I didn't know that he'd been caught, but I will tell you this: I knew that he hid the rifle." And I said to myself, oh, my God, that was the first thing right there on the steps. I also knew that I didn't want to get pulled in. Okay. So there you have Frazier standing on the steps thinking, oh, shit. Right?
Mm.
Now, why am I saying this? All right. It's really simple. It's really simple. The package that Frazier describes, from the get-go, you know, states in his affidavit, this thing is 2 feet long, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which you cannot fit a rifle or a broken down rifle into a 2-foot bag. You just can't, right? And it's obviously not this dude's lunch in a 2-foot bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, Frazier is a rifle owner. He used to go hunting in Huntington or wherever he was from, Huntington, Alabama or Texas or wherever he came from. You know, he used to hunt deer and stuff or antelope or whatever the fuck flies around on the prairies out there, right? Now, obviously, being a rifle owner, you come to understand the various types of rifle cases that there are, Joe. There
Yeah.
are hard shell cases with a distinct shape that you know what's in that case.
Right.
Okay, that's a rifle case. Or it can be out of some kind of cloth material or leather material, but it's still going to be in the general shape of a rifle case. When you see a rifle case, no matter if it's hard shell, soft shell, cloth, whatever, brown paper fucking bag, it looks like a rifle in a rifle case. Okay? Here's my point, folks. Frazier stands on the 2-foot bag. He's been standing on that fucking mountain for 60 some years. Okay? There's absolutely zero proof of a 2-foot bag being found in the school book depository. Period. No 2-foot bag and no curtain rods. All right? Now, as much as people don't want to admit it, there was a very long rifle looking case bag found, or at least brought out of the school book depository.
Right, with one of the deputies holding it. Right.
Right. It is definitely longer than 2 feet. Like you wouldn't even mistake it for being 2 feet. This thing is like from the deputy's over his head down to his freaking knee. I mean, it's 3 or 4 foot long. You know, it's definitely looks like a rifle case. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's made out of a paper bag. Right? Point being, all right, is if Oswald brought a package to work that day, then it had to be 3 or 4 feet long. It had to be a rifle in that package. And Frazier would have likely dropped him off at the building so he didn't have to lug that goddamn thing a half a mile through the mud to the building. Now, I'm not saying Frazier is an accomplice or was doing anything wrong or anything like that. Okay? Oswald could have told him, you know, hey, I'm taking my rifle after work to get it, you know, get some work done on it, whatever. It doesn't have to be anything nefarious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and just because I think that Oswald did bring a rifle into that building that day doesn't mean that I think that he was on the 6th floor shooting it at 12:30 either. Again, you have to remember the rifle is registered and purchased by A.J. Heidel, right? A member of the Fair Play for Cuba Committee, which is a Castro supporting organization. So, if this rifle, if something went down in Dealey Plaza, and this rifle was found inside this building, it could be traced back to A.J. Heidel, a supposed Fair Play for Cuba Committee member from New Orleans. Now they could be, they could be chasing their tail, trying to figure out who this A.J. Heidel is. Maybe they figure it out, maybe they don't. Oswald may be betting on the fact that they don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the alternative, Joe, is that Oswald didn't have any package that day. He didn't have a 2-foot package full of curtain rods. He didn't have a long-ass package of a rifle. He didn't have a package. He had his lunch with him. Okay? Because when he was interrogated by Fritz and them, he told them that he had brought his lunch to work and it was a piece of cheese and an apple or something. Ghetto ass, lunch, right?
Right. And of course, Buell says, Oswald said, I didn't bring any lunch today. I planned to buy it.
Right.
Which would be out of the norm for Lee.
Either way, and based on what Frazier has said here to the HSCA, is seemingly a glaring admission of something. Either way, you look at Frazier's story, he's lying. He's lying. Mm-hmm. Either Oswald had a package, a big one, a long one, and it had a rifle in it, or he didn't have a package at all. It's one or the other. It cannot be, and there is no evidence supporting a 2-foot package or curtain rods. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody says when they saw Oswald on the bus or in the cab that he had a pack of curtain rods with him, or any kind of package with him whatsoever.
Right. Which, in theory, by the way, and I've never thought of this, right? So, say Oswald did take curtain rods to work and the assassination happened, would you not take them home with you if you're going back to Oak
Right.
Cliff?
Right. If you're
Like,
innocent,
what are you going to just fucking leave them there?
right? Again, if you're innocent, you're taking them with you.
Yeah. It's like, these are fucking curtain rods. Check them, bro.
I mean, if you're guilty and you did shoot that rifle at Kennedy, well, then you might say, well, fuck them curtain rods. I'm getting out of here.
Right.
And they would have been found somewhere in the school book depository, but they weren't. And neither was a 2-foot bag. So either way you look at the story, Frazier's lying. And I'm not saying that Frazier is some evil, evil person either. He's a 19-year-old kid who's scared out of his freaking wits.
Who's getting leaned on by all the powers that be. He's getting, probably threatened, obviously brought back, but the polygraph and this and that, like, he's getting leaned on 100%.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason that he went to see his father-in-law or stepfather to get advice about what he should do, and they concocted this story and said, no matter what happens, you stick to this story. His sister stuck to the story, right?
Yeah.
And it's been that way ever since. And they could not shake him on this story during the Warren Commission or the FBI investigation. They just couldn't get him off this 2-foot package thing.
Mm-hmm.
They just basically said, well, he must have been mistaken about the length of the package. That's the only explanation, right? Well, the alternative explanation is he was lying. Again, they say they gave him a polygraph. They say he passed with flying colors. Well, where is it? Where is it?
That's a good question. And Rob, I never thought of this before. So I'm guessing his mother, right, he was living with his sister, right, and his 2 or 3 nieces, depending on what it changes. His father was out of the picture, I'm guessing.
Well, he was back where he came from.
Okay, so he wasn't local.
Correct.
Okay, so...
And I think he was the abusive drunk.
Okay.
I don't think it was his stepfather.
Right.
Yeah.
So...
His stepfather might have been somebody he respected, somebody that could give him good advice about what to do in this situation.
Right. I mean, again, 19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Kid.
Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? I mean, if he's truly standing there on them steps thinking, oh, shit, I brought this motherfucker and his rifle to work, right? And
I'd be pissed. I
don't know what to do.
I'd be scared. I'd be scared as.
It certainly does not look good for me. What should I do here? Type of thing. He might need some advice about what to do and how to move forward with things, right?
Yeah. And I think he really did kind of stand on the steps, being like, what do I do? Not because of Lee. Really, because I don't think he really put that together yet, but just like, I'm Justice Scafuza and what the hell just happened type of thing. But then, like we said, his later testimony, he's following Shelley and Lovelady, he's going behind to the dock, he's seeing Oswald leaving. None of this is described in his early statements.
Right. And check this out, Joe. Again, what he told the HSCA was pretty inflammatory, right? But he definitely did not want to talk to these motherfuckers.
Right.
In fact, he went to great lengths to try to not have to talk to these people. Whoa. Let me back this down a little bit here. These are notes. Handwritten notes from the HSCA investigators who came to Dallas to talk to witnesses. Okay?
Moriarty?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, by the way, an amazing investigator by all accounts.
Yeah, he was. So third line down, you can see Wesley Frazier, right?
Yeah, it's in the darkest kind of font, if you will.
Yeah,
The
I'm not sure
the
what it
black.
says. And then in parentheses, it says Grams. And then in parentheses after that, it says very. And then right under that, it says reluctant.
Reluctant, right? I see
And then
that.
under that, it says wait till 5 a.m. 10/19/79.
What does that mean?
That Frazier wanted to wait until 10/19 at 5 in the morning to be interviewed, allegedly.
Really?
Or maybe that's 77. I don't know.
Don't talk to me at 5 a.m. Shit.
Right. Now, at this time, Frazier is in the Army or the military, whatever he's in. I think he's in the Army. And he's stationed at, I think, somewhere close to Dallas, like maybe Fort Hood, something like that at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And we go down a little bit, right? Because it's been a couple days. Here we go. Frazier continues to procrastinate. Now wants to meet in a lawyer's office next Friday. Ultimately make appointment for Friday at 1 to 2 p.m., but that's not definite. Definite resistance, but reason not that apparent. Will require another call tomorrow at 10, quote, to see if my lawyer says it's okay to talk to you.
Yep, that's what
Okay.
it says. That's what it says. Wow.
Here we go. 10/20/77, 9 a.m. Call Buell Wesley Frazier at work and got more put off. My lawyer's secretary forgot to check his schedule. I make a third call at 5 p.m. and tomorrow at 1 p.m. at lawyer's office is okay. Finally. Okay.
Okay.
That's crazy.
I've never seen this. This is fascinating.
I'm just making sure there's nothing else about Frazier in these notes. Nope. Okay. So very interesting stuff here, man. Like, why are you so reluctant to speak to the HSCA investigators? I mean, this is another official government investigation into the Kennedy assassination, and you're the star motherfucking witness. You brought the guy to work. Now, he got away from the truth during the Warren Commission investigation. He got away from the shit during the Clay Shaw trial. Now it's the HSCA investigation, and he just can't get away from it.
Well, Rob, I mean, listen, there was probably no ever threat that he would be prosecuted or, like
Maybe.
blamed at the HSCA point.
Well, he would have had to say, I mean, he did bring him to work. He did know he had a rifle. He did know he took a rifle in the building the same day the president's supposed to drive by the building. I mean, you'd have to be pretty naive and or stupid to think that that's just merely a coincidence, right?
Right. But I'm saying there's no threat he's really going to jail over this. I can understand his apprehensiveness of not wanting to talk to people, not wanting to.
I'm saying maybe the Warren Commission investigation spooked the shit out of him. Maybe his initial arrest and made to sign a confession and yada, yada, yada. I mean, I have the original Irving Police Department arrest warrant for Buell Frazier, and it says commission of murder of the president of the United States. Like,
Yeah.
it's serious shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think he thought he got away with it. And here comes another investigation. What are they going to turn up now?
Right. Right.
Could I possibly be charged with something? You know,
Obstruction, maybe.
or now if I tell them the truth, they'll know I was lying back then. It doesn't look good. Why are you lying? Oh, you were just scared, right? Sure. Okay. You know, type of thing.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Even like obstruction of justice or something, like even if it's not like accomplice to, you know, murder or whatever, right? It's fascinating to think about, that's for sure. And it even crazier that he changes his story so late in the game, right? 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, I've got this here too, Joe. This is from a living history interview that was done almost 20 years before the one you just showed.
Oh,
It was the first one he ever did,
okay.
and it's a lot shorter than yours. Here we go.
Well, I better go back to the steps, and I did. I walked back to the bottom of the steps, and then I walked out to the corner of the building right there where Houston comes up beside the building. And I was talking to someone, it was a lady, and I looked to my left and come walking along the side of the Texas School Book building was Lee Oswald.
Walking along this side of the building,
Yes.
Houston Street.
Yes, Houston Street. So he'd come around from off the dock there. And so he walks up, and I'm talking to this lady. He didn't say anything. And he crosses Houston. I watch him cross Houston as I was talking to the lady. He gets over to the other side of Houston, and then he crosses Elm. And somebody said something to me, and I turned, and he was about halfway across the street. And when I turned back, he was gone in the crowd. I don't know what happened to him. But I didn't worry too much about that, because there were several places around there that you could go and eat a sandwich. And I remember asking him that morning when he was riding in with me, I says, "Where's your lunch?" He said, "Oh, I'm going to buy it off the truck today." I said, "Okay." Well,
Again, what are we doing here? I don't know. It's interesting to think about.
Yeah. Of
And
course.
trust me, there's a shit ton more for part 2 members only.
Yeah. And of course, we don't really know how Lee Oswald left the TSPD, right?
There's many contradictions.
Right. I mean, you could,
You have the Pierce Allman story,
the Roger Craig story.
the McNeil story, the Frazier story. The Frazier story is the only one where Oswald comes out the loading dock door. The Craig story has him going out the side door over towards the pergola.
Right. Right.
There's an exit there that goes out to where they parked that truck that was behind that big fence, that the tramps walked in front of. It looked like a big gate. That's where they parked the book truck.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a way out over there. And then, of course, there was the front steps that came out as well. And we're not exactly sure how Oswald left the building. He's not caught on any photo or movie leaving the building, which is surprising as well. How many cameras were clicking away immediately after the assassination in the vicinity of the school book depository.
Correct.
Which is interesting. But yeah, I mean, that's where we're at with Frazier. And like I said, there's a lot more to go through. And I think when we finally get to the time of the mock trial, that is where Frazier, because now he's made it through the HSCA investigation, he's made it through the Warren Commission investigation, and he comes off like a dick in that mock trial. Like, he just doesn't have time for this shit. He doesn't want to be there. He's very short with his answers. He has a very disgusted look on his face. He's not joking around. This is prime military 30 to 40-year-old Buell Frazier, pissed that now he's again has to go through this and tell this story again.
Did they even have subpoenas for the mock trial?
No, it was a voluntary thing, I think, but maybe they paid.
Right.
I'm sure they paid. It was a trip to London. It was probably something he couldn't turn down.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure the first time he was ever on a plane was when he was flown to Washington for his first Warren Commission hearing. The second one happened in Dallas. They went back to him. So, I mean,
again, either way you look at it, Frazier is lying his ass off about something. And like I said, I don't blame him. He was a young, scared kid quaking in his moccasins, right?
yeah.
But at some point, bro, before you kick the bucket, just come out with the truth. Book be damned, prior testimony be damned.
You already got your advance for the book, whatever.
Just come out and say, look, you were friends with this dude. You talked about shit. You went and shot your rifles together. You picked him up from work every day and dropped him off from work every day. And just admit it.
Yeah.
Admit it.
Yeah.
If the truth is he brought a rifle to work that day, it doesn't necessarily mean he was on the 6th floor shooting it. Period. But if he brought a rifle to work the rifle had to get in the building somehow, right? It didn't grow legs and walk in there in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like Frazier said during his HSCA testimony, I knew that he hid the rifle or had the rifle. If you're transcribing shitty audio, it could be either way. I knew he hid it or I knew he had it. Either way, it ain't good.
Yeah. Yeah. Paula says maybe he didn't want to be charged for perjury.
Maybe not.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean it is frustrating that some of these people, the last two that could really give context to this, are probably never going to give us anything. And that's just kind of how this case goes, unfortunately.
Yep. I doubt Marino will ever come out and say anything. I doubt Marina's kids and Lee's kids will ever come out and say anything.
No. I mean, not that they would know anything, but I mean, they would have heard it secondhand. But still, they're like completely divorced from the situation, to quote the Dicer.
Right, but you would think at some point they would convince Marina to just tell him the truth about their father,
I mean, Marina's what, like 90 now? 80 something? Late 80s? Who knows if she even has a faculties? You know what I mean? Like, we haven't heard from Marina for years. I don't know, maybe since the 50th? Maybe? I don't know.
We haven't heard from her. They photographed her in a Walmart parking lot a couple years ago when her husband was still alive, but he's since passed.
Porter, right.
Yeah. So, like I said, these people were dropping off and, just to finally, I was so excited when Frazier was finally going to write that book. And then we get some bullshit story about, I saw a guy with a rifle parked right out in front of the school book depository that nobody else saw, despite there be 1,000 people running around, packed in like sardines on the sidewalk. Nobody else saw this guy with a rifle and put it in his trunk except for me. And I was scared shitless because he was cold. He was dressed real good. He had some real nice threads on him. I could tell.
He had some real nice shoes. I could tell.
Come on, bro. Come on. Seriously. That's what you're going to leave us with? That's what you're going to leave us with.
It's sad that no one has the balls, let's say, to fucking just give the
And there's
truth.
a real good hot damn possibility that he might see this show. Okay? Or hear about it, or see it, or get sent to him. One of the 2, 3, 4 options you got.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'll put it right out there. Look, Buell, I get it, bro. You were scared back in the day. I don't blame you. Probably would have done the same thing. Deny.
Mm-hmm.
Make it possible. that you never got in trouble by sticking by that 2-foot package, and it worked out for you. But the time has come, my friend. We know that book story is bullshit.
Yeah.
Come on the Lone Gunman podcast and tell the truth for the first time in your life. Just come clean, get it off your shoulders, and enlighten the thousands and thousands of Kennedy assassination researchers that have been looking into this for so long, looking for some kind of kernel of a truth in this damn story, and just finally come clean. You have an open invitation.
Yeah.
Email me, thelonegunmanpodcast@gmail.com. You or your son, who, by the way, has a great first name named Rob.
Yeah. And there's no way, like, there's 0% chance that you're ever going to be, at this point, convicted of any crime, even perjury or this or that. Like, it's like.
And you won't be thought of any less for lying back in the day. I get it. 19, scared shitless. You have a confession, to these a murder of a president slapped in front of you. You're threatened. You're polygraphed. You're interrogated. I get it. I totally get it. But we finally need to know the truth. If Oswald took a rifle into that building, we need to know. And we need to know if he said anything or told you anything or any of that. So if you want to share, you know where to find us. And do it before it's too late, bro.
Yeah.
And that's my final word on it.
I think you left it perfectly, and that would obviously be amazing. And, I think he owes history the truth. I really do. And we need it. We really do. And because time is running out, and
all right, Joe, grab the goddamn dog.
All right. Let me try to mute and get
Ruby! All right, folks. That's a pod. Dino, get your fat ass in here, sir. Grab your parasols, people.
Come to Bourbon Street and I'll show
Grab
you
your
what I think
trumpets
is the
and your
case.
parasols. Get down to Bourbon Street and grab your shades, put them on, undo a button or two on your shirt, folks, and start dancing around like you don't have a goddamn care in the world, baby. Yeah. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you to everyone for the gift memberships, the super chats. We hella appreciate it. Enjoy the new memberships. A lot of new members. I mean, damn, that's like 40 new members in 2 weeks. So thank you guys. Keep up the great work. Thanks for believing in us. Make sure to smash the like button on your way out the door. Share this thing wherever you want to. Tell them it's great. Lie if you have to. And hi, Ruby.
Oh, hi.
Hi,
Rob. Hi, Rob. I missed you, Rob.
Let's blow Ruby up a little bit. There we go.
Oh, hi, Ruby. Hi.
She's looking good. It's like she's got this little smile on her face.
Yeah, she's not thrilled. She knows what's coming. But
we wave at these motherfuckers.
yeah, I know. She's difficult.
Most women are, but that's okay.
Yes, they are. Yes.
All right, folks. We'll see you next Wednesday on Members Only. Maybe before then for a book review if Joe doesn't get any bloody noses.
We'll show that picture next Members Only.
Yeah. Until then, thanks for hanging with us. Thank you for supporting the show, and we will see you very, very soon.
Yes.
Peace.
Have a good weekend, everyone. Thank you for joining.